Do you hear that soft sound in the quiet of the morning? Not the birds chirping in your backyard, but the silence that follows when you look down at your hairbrush. I am Alan, and I know that sinking feeling. You're getting ready for a busy day, maybe running errands at Costco or preparing for the grandkids to visit, and suddenly, under those bright bathroom lights, you feel a little less like yourself. You wonder, is my time simply passing too fast? But please take a deep breath. What if the strength your hair needs isn't hidden in a pricey salon treatment or a chemical bottle, but is waiting right there in your kitchen cabinet? Today, I want to walk you through 7 simple, natural water blends, gentle rituals that support your body from the inside out. Stick around with me until the end, because the final recipe is a true game changer for women our age, and it's something you can start tomorrow morning. Are you ready to bring the hope and life back to your hair? Let's talk. Every year when the leaves start turning that beautiful burnt orange and the air gets crisp, I'm reminded of my neighbor Susan. She's 52, a wonderful mother who always hosts the big family Thanksgiving dinner. But a few years ago, right around the holidays, she confided in me while we were raking leaves in the front yard. She told me she felt a knot in her stomach every time she passed a mirror. It wasn't the stress of cooking the turkey, it was seeing how much of her scalp was showing at the crown of her head under those bright kitchen lights. She felt like she was losing a part of herself, just as she was getting ready to celebrate with everyone she loved. I told her what I'm going to tell you now. Sometimes the answer isn't in a new bottle of expensive serum, but hidden inside the very things we celebrate with. We often carve pumpkins and toss the insides, but those seeds, specifically the raw green pumpkin seeds, are absolute little miracles for us. Now, before you rush to the snack aisle at Costco or Trader Joe's, hold on a second. I'm not talking about the roasted, salty ones we munch on during football games. Those are delicious, but the high sodium can actually work against us. We want the raw, unsalted seeds. Why? Because they are packed with zinc and iron. Think of your hair follicles like a garden. If the soil doesn't have oxygen, nothing grows. Iron helps deliver that oxygen right to the root, and zinc acts like the gatekeeper, helping to keep the scalp healthy and balanced. Here is a simple morning ritual that changed things for Susan, and I think you'll love it too. Take a tablespoon of those raw seeds and crush them just lightly. You don't need a powder, just break the shell to release the magic inside. Soak them in a glass of water overnight on your counter. In the morning, strain the seeds out and squeeze in the juice of half a lemon. Why the lemon? Because vitamin C is the best friend iron ever had. It helps your body absorb that iron so much faster. Susan started doing this 3 or 4 times a week. It wasn't an overnight miracle. Nothing real ever is. But by the time the snow melted and spring flowers arrived, she noticed something wonderful. She wasn't shedding as much in the shower. She felt like she was finally giving her body the building blocks it had been begging for. If you're finding value in these simple, natural tips, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. It helps our community grow and ensures you don't miss the other solutions I have waiting for you. Now, pumpkin seeds help build a strong foundation, but what if your scalp feels like it's sleeping? We need to wake it up. And interestingly enough, the secret to waking it up might be the same scent drifting from your oven on a Sunday afternoon. Speaking of waking things up, have you ever walked into your kitchen on a Sunday afternoon and been instantly wrapped in the scent of baking apple pie? That spicy, sweet aroma of cinnamon doesn't just warm your soul, it can actually warm up those sleeping hair follicles too. I remember sitting on the back porch with my neighbor Nancy. She is a lovely woman, 60 years young, but she always wore these thick knit beanies, even when the autumn chill wasn't that bad yet. Over a cup of tea, she confessed that her scalp always felt tight and cold, and her hair just seemed stuck, like it had decided to retire early. You see, Nancy's circulation was a bit sluggish. She always had cold hands and cold feet. Your hair follicles are the same. They are the farthest point from your heart, and they need a strong flow of oxygen to thrive. Recent studies hint that cinnamaldehyde, the compound that gives cinnamon its kick, can help support that blood flow. Think of it as opening up the highway so all those good nutrients from the pumpkin seeds we just talked about can actually reach their destination. We didn't do anything complicated. Nancy started steeping a cinnamon stick in hot water in the evenings. It wasn't an overnight miracle, but a few weeks later, she told me that tight, cold feeling was gone. Her scalp felt alive again, just a gentle whisper of caution between us friends. Cinnamon oil is powerful stuff, so never apply it directly to your skin without testing it first. We want gentle warmth, not a fire. Now that we have the blood flowing, we need to give your hair the actual building blocks to grow strong, not just long. Have you noticed those vibrant red flowers blooming in the garden down the street? They hold a secret for your hair structure that you won't believe. While cinnamon helps wake up the circulation, let's step out into the garden for a moment. Have you ever wondered why women in tropical climates often have such strong, lustrous hair despite the intense sun? I was chatting about this with my neighbor Linda just last week. She's 58 and spends hours tending to her prize-winning roses. She told me, "Alan, I love my garden, but I feel like my hair is turning into straw under this sun hat." She was worried that her hair had lost its snap and was just breaking off at the ends. I asked her if she still had those beautiful red flowers blooming by her fence. You see, hibiscus isn't just a pretty face in the yard. It is a powerhouse for our hair structure. Think of your hair like a delicate fabric. Over time, the fibers get weak. Hibiscus is rich in specific amino acids that are crucial for producing keratin, the very protein building block that makes hair tough and resilient. It's also packed with antioxidants that protect those fragile strands from the very sun Linda was hiding from. We made a simple swap in her routine. Instead of that second cup of coffee in the afternoon, which can sometimes dehydrate us, Linda started brewing a deep red cup of hibiscus tea. You might know it as that tart zinger tea you see in the grocery aisle. It's incredibly refreshing, whether you drink it warm on a cool evening or iced during a BBQ. Within a couple of months, Linda wasn't just feeling refreshed, she noticed her hair felt different. It wasn't snapping when she brushed it after a long day outside. It had a bounce back to it, a certain resilience that had been missing for years. But here is the secret that makes this work so well. While hibiscus builds the structure, you need something to hold the moisture in, otherwise, it's all for nothing. Do you know what happens to a plant when the soil can't hold water? The same thing happens to our hair. That leads me to a tiny, almost invisible seed that sits in your pantry right now, capable of holding 10 times its weight in water. You won't believe how simple this next step is for keeping that hydration locked in. Just imagine a garden plant left out in the scorching Arizona sun without water. That's exactly how Betty, a lovely 63-year-old friend of mine, described her hair to me. Living in that dry desert heat, she felt her strands had become like dried grass, snapping brittle in her hands no matter how much expensive conditioner she slathered on in the shower. She was drinking plenty of water, but her hair wasn't keeping it. That is when we talked about something you might have walked past a dozen times at Whole Foods. Or maybe you have a bag buried in your pantry from a New Year's resolution years ago. I'm talking about chia seeds. Think of these tiny seeds as miniature reservoirs for your body. Research shows they can absorb up to 10 times their weight in water. When you drink water infused with chia, you aren't just hydrating for the moment. You are delivering a slow-release hydration pack deep to your hair follicles. Betty started a simple ritual. She adds a tablespoon of chia seeds to her water bottle before her morning power walk around the neighborhood. She lets them soak for about 20 minutes until they form a gel, then adds a squeeze of lime. Why lime? The vitamin C helps your body absorb the nutrients, while the omega-3 fatty acids in the seeds work to strengthen the cell membranes, making your hair flexible rather than fragile. It is not an overnight magic trick, but it is profound. After a few weeks of this morning habit, Betty told me the crunch sound when she brushed her hair was gone, replaced by a soft, healthy swish. She felt nourished, and honestly, she just felt better overall. If this helped, I'm ready for healthier hair below. I would love to know you are taking this step for yourself. But here is the secret most people miss. Hydration is useless if your body's internal thermostat is broken. Even with perfect hydration, there is a silent, invisible disruptor that hits women our age, causing shedding that feels unstoppable. What if I told you the solution to calming that internal storm is a slightly bitter seed often found in curry? You will want to stay with me for this next part because it addresses the root cause that shampoo can never reach. We've quenched the thirst of your hair strands with chia, but what happens when the soil itself, your body's internal rhythm, feels like it's shifting beneath you? I remember sitting on the back porch swing with my neighbor, Patricia, one humid evening last July. She's 51, a spirited woman who usually runs the local charity bake sale with endless energy. But that night, she seemed fragile. She whispered that her body felt like an old radio stuck between stations. Static noise, hot flashes one minute, chills the next. And amidst that internal storm, she was finding clumps of hair on her pillow every morning. She told me she felt like she was losing control of her own body right before her son's college orientation. That feeling of being out of sync is something so many of us face but rarely talk about. This is where a humble golden seed called fenugreek enters our story. You might know it as methi if you love flavorful curries, but in the quiet of your kitchen, it acts as a gentle stabilizer. These seeds are rich in a compound called diosgenin. Think of diosgenin as a soft lullaby for your hormones. It helps calm the internal fluctuations that can cause scalp inflammation and trigger shedding during menopause. Here is the simple ritual Patricia adopted. Take 1 teaspoon of fenugreek seeds and let them soak in a cup of water overnight. While you sleep, the seeds release their golden nutrients into the water. In the morning, strain it and drink it on an empty stomach. I'll be honest with you, it has a slightly bitter maple syrup taste that reminds me of the herbal teas my grandmother used to brew. But isn't that often the taste of true healing? If it's too strong, a squeeze of lemon helps. Patricia stuck with this for 3 months. By the time the autumn leaves started to fall, she told me the noise in her body had quieted down, and her hair felt anchored again, no longer shedding at the slightest touch. Now that we've steadied the internal rhythm, we need to protect that new growth from the invisible attacks of city living. Have you ever wondered why some women's hair seems immune to pollution and stress? The answer might be a small, sour berry that acts like a shield. While balancing our hormones is a crucial step, we also have to talk about the silent toll that city living and daily stress take on our hair. It reminds me of a dear friend, Carol. She is 67 now and has spent her entire life in the hustle and bustle of downtown Chicago. She used to tell me that while she loved the city energy, she felt like the pollution and the decades of career stress were literally turning her hair gray and thin before her eyes. She felt like her hair was tired, just like she was after a long week. You might not see this next ingredient at your average corner store, but in many cultures, it is revered as a guardian of youth. It is the Amla berry, or Indian gooseberry. You see, our hair follicles are constantly under attack from what scientists call oxidative stress. Think of it like rust forming on a car because of the weather. Amla is one of the most potent sources of natural vitamin C and antioxidants on the planet. Research suggests that these antioxidants act like a shield, protecting those fragile hair follicles from the rust of aging and environment. Even more promising, some studies indicate that Amla might help inhibit a specific enzyme called 5-alpha reductase, which is often responsible for shrinking hair follicles as we get older. Carol started adding a small teaspoon of amla powder to her morning water. Now I have to be honest with you, it is quite sour. It has a tangy kick that might wake you up faster than your coffee. Carol likes to add a tiny drop of honey to balance it out. It wasn't an overnight fix, but after a few months she told me her hair felt resilient again, like it had its bounce back. We have built a shield for your hair, but there is one final queen of seeds we haven't talked about yet. It is arguably the most important one for women our age because it addresses the very root of why our hair changes after 50. You won't want to miss this last secret weapon. Speaking of discovering hidden treasures, the next time you find yourself pushing that massive cart down the aisles at Costco, I want you to pause in the baking section. There is a bag of tiny brown seeds there that might just be the most underrated item on your shopping list. I remember running into my friend Diana there a few months ago. She's 54, a spirited woman who loves her morning power walks. But that day, standing near the pharmacy aisle, she looked defeated. She had just come from her annual checkup, and her doctor had given her the talk about shifting hormones and cholesterol levels. She told me, "I feel like my body is changing faster than I can keep up, and my thinning hair is just the visible proof of it." I walked her over to the flax seeds. You see, these humble seeds are nature's richest source of lignans. Think of lignans as a gentle, balancing friend for women our age. They are phytoestrogens that help regulate the estrogen levels in your body naturally, smoothing out the roller coaster that often leads to hair shedding during menopause. Plus, they are packed with omega-3 fatty acids, which act like an internal moisturizer for dry, brittle hair strands. But here is the golden rule. And please listen closely, because Diana almost missed this part. You must grind them. If you eat flax seeds whole, they will just pass right through your system, and you won't get any of those hair-loving benefits. Buy them whole to keep them fresh, but use a simple coffee grinder to turn them into a powder before you use them. Diana started sprinkling a tablespoon of ground flax over her morning oatmeal, a classic American breakfast, and sometimes she blends it into a smoothie. It wasn't instantaneous, but when I saw her at a neighborhood BBQ 3 months later, the change was undeniable. Her hair had a shine and fullness I hadn't seen in years, but more importantly, she had her confidence back. If you are loving these natural tips, please drop a comment saying great hair below, so I know we are on the right track. And if this video has been even a little bit helpful to you today, please hit that like button. It really helps our community grow. Diana's results were wonderful, but I know what you might be thinking right now. This list is getting long. How am I supposed to fit pumpkin seeds, tea, and flax into one day without spending hours in the kitchen? Don't worry, I have a special synergy method coming up next that makes it effortless to combine them without feeling overwhelmed. I can almost hear a little sigh of overwhelm from here. You might be looking at your kitchen counter, mentally lining up jars of seeds and spices, thinking, Alan, I can't possibly drink all of these every single day. I'm not a chemistry lab. And you are absolutely right. The goal isn't to flood your body, it is to create a gentle, sustainable rhythm that fits your life, not the other way around. I learned this lesson from Helen, a spirited 72-year-old woman who lives in a lovely house with a big oak tree out front. Helen had tried everything, from those itchy chemical foams to uncomfortable wigs that she felt she was hiding under. She told me once while we were watching the sunset from her porch, Alan, I used to wake up angry at my hair for not growing fast enough. I wanted a miracle by Tuesday. But biology doesn't work on our schedule. Clinical studies often show that real, lasting change in hair density takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months because our hair cycles are slow and steady. Helen finally found peace when she stopped racing and started nurturing. She didn't do everything at once. She created a synergy that worked for her week. Maybe Mondays and Wednesdays are for her pumpkin seed soak to build that zinc foundation. Tuesday afternoons are for sipping hibiscus tea while reading her book. And every morning, without fail, she has her flaxseed water. She treats her hair exactly like she treats her prize-winning hydrangeas in the backyard. She knows you can't tug on a flower to make it grow faster. You just have to keep watering the soil. So please take the pressure off. You don't need to be perfect. Start with just one or two of these habits that feel right to you. Maybe you're wondering, what if I miss a day? Let me tell you, your body is forgiving. It isn't about rigid rules. It is about showing yourself a little love consistently. And speaking of love, there is one final thought I need to share with you before we go, something that has nothing to do with seeds or tea, but has everything to do with the beautiful woman looking back at you in the mirror. The final piece of our puzzle is arguably the most important because it addresses the very root of why our hair changes after 50. The next time you are pushing your cart down the aisles of Costco, I want you to look for a bag of brown flax seeds. I shared this with my friend Diana, who is 54. She came to me feeling overwhelmed after a doctor's visit mentioned her cholesterol and shifting hormones. She felt like her body was fighting against her. I told her that flax seeds are nature's gentle way of making peace. You see, these tiny seeds are the richest source of lignans on Earth. Think of lignans as a soft thermostat for your hormones. They help balance estrogen levels naturally, which is crucial when we are navigating menopause. But here is the trick that Diana learned. You must grind them. If you eat them whole, they just pass right through you. Diana started stirring a spoonful of freshly ground flaxseed into her morning oatmeal or warm water. It wasn't just her hair that started looking fuller and shinier after a few months. She told me she felt a sense of inner calm she hadn't felt in years. We have walked through so much today, haven't we? From the autumn warmth of pumpkin seeds to the summer vibrancy of hibiscus. Please don't feel you need to do it all at once. Just pick one small ritual that brings you joy. Once again, I am Alan, and I want to thank you for letting me be a small part of your day. If these stories gave you hope, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so we can have coffee together again soon. Remember, be patient with yourself. You have spent a lifetime caring for others. Now is the time to pour that love back into yourself.